darkness of my room, I sit alone. Tears falling heavy, my heart turning stone. Thought we had a love like no other before, but now it's gone, shattered on the floor.
Welcome to Relationship Carver Podcast. I'm your host, Amor Royster. Here with.
So, my name is Mark Cadu. I am a recent graduate from Five Towns College. I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and with a concentration in film, but I also love doing podcasts and mass communication. This is, I think, a great opportunity for me to learn how to do kind of like a both because I'm also doing podcasting, but I'm also doing video editing portions for the interviews, and I hope it goes very fun, and I feel like it's gonna be a fun time.
Thank you for that.
Yes, I'm Sophie White, and I also had a Bachelor in Fine Arts and Photography, and I have a Bachelor's in Business, and I own many businesses, and now I am a life and financial coach, and I just finished writing my second one.
Oh, congratulations.
That's awesome.
All right, my first question, okay? And it's go for both of y'all. What do you think is the hardest part about maintaining a relationship in today's world?
I think the thing that really because the whole thing is that as the relationship like goes on, I feel like different like opinions may start to arise, and I mean not just like that, but also you also have to take into account maybe like if your whole relationship is based on around like financial, right? That could be a bit of a problem. There's a lot of strains in terms of relationships that could potentially come up, and it can be very difficult. And and maybe not even I feel like it would not work with just other people, but also like friends as well. Like, you know, I don't know. That's the way I kind of see it. I feel like there's a lot of different ways that it can definitely like either like make or break a relationship, if you will. So,
Nah, I totally agree with you. How about you, Sophie?
I think that this in today's world, there's a lot of distractions and temptations, and I think that if you're not willing to focus on building something special with one person, you allow that that's when you arise problems, and then many situations happen where you lose trust, you get caught in lies and things like that, and then from there things can go really bad really fast.
mhm.
Yes, I totally agree.
Right.
It's like every year it's a new gimmick that everybody's following. Like this year it was having your guests pay for your wedding. So people were charging they guests $300, $2,000 just to pay for their wedding or pay for their honeymoon. And it seems like every year it's gonna be a given. Like I wonder what's 2025 is gonna bring to those.
Yeah.
I had not heard about the trend of 2024 of having people pay for your own wedding.
Yes, yes. Go on TikTok or Instagram and type in a couple ask guests pay for wedding, and a lot of videos are gonna pop up. A lot of them.
Wow, that's very.
Yeah, it's a trend. All right. Our next question for y'all. Do you believe that love is enough to keep a relationship going? Or are there other essential factors?
Hmm.
I do not believe that love is the only thing that can keep a relationship going. I believe that a relationship is based on a friendship, and if you don't have, if you're not with somebody that you consider your best friend that you can talk to about anything, you basically are not in a relationship.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm so sorry.
Nah, you good. Totally agree.
hmm
Go ahead, Mark. You got something to say? You want to say something?
yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I absolutely do agree. I mean, love is a great thing. It should be a great thing, but I feel like what a lot of people in this world kind of misinterpret is that love isn't end all be all. Like you can have love, but I think because like love can be defined in so many different ways, right? Love can be like a friendly love, but that's also like, obviously like marriage love and all that stuff. So I feel like that's the distinction that a lot of people just kind of they don't really recognize as much. And that's where I think a lot of people kind of falter in that regard. But yeah, I think I absolutely agree. Just friendly love is like the best, or like parental love, family love. that's perfect. But like, no, I absolutely agree for sure.
Yes, I totally agree. I always used to like go into relationships head in, like real fast, and
Hmm.
it always blew up in my face. So now I don't do that no more. So now I'm patient. I talk with the person for weeks at the time. I go on dates with the person now, and instead of me just like come to my house, come hang out with me, and then they never leave. That's what usually happens. They just never leave.
Absolutely.
I've been in many. My book is about abusive relationships and leaving abusive relationships. But I've been in a marriage and a good relationship for the last 10 years. And one of the things that I learned about being in a healthy relationship, well, first of all, that it's a lot of work. You have to work through your differences. You can't just like assume things.
Hmm.
And during the 10 years, there's parts where you feel a lot more in love. There's moments where you feel less love. But if you have the friendship to fall back on, then, then there's no deviating or, cheating on the spouses or lying
Hmm.
because it's more about, the bond that you have as a friendship and not about the passion because the passion, fades and it comes back and it fades throughout your relationship in different levels.
Hmm.
And the longer you're with somebody, the greater that becomes. The longer that you're loyal and the longer that you've been with somebody and that you've been true to them, then that bond becomes even stronger and then it becomes even a more beautiful thing.
Yes,
Hmm.
I totally agree. So, Sophie, you wrote a book about relationships and the bad parts about relationships. So, this question should be perfect for you. Okay. What's the most common relationship issue you see people facing, and how can they address it?
Um, Secrets.
Hmm.
The
Deep.
most common problem in relationship is secrets. When you have to hide things on your phone, you shouldn't have to like look through your spouse's phone or anything. But if you feel like you have to have a lock or you have to have it upside down, that you're even doing something that's like that they would question, then and you're doing it secretively, then that's like, definitely something that would strain a relationship and it starts to build mistrust and then mistrust becomes, into fighting and fighting becomes unhealthy.
Hmm.
Yes. Mark, you got a question for Sophie?
Um, I guess I would. I mean, I definitely do agree with what she said about the secrecy for sure. I mean, for the way I kind of see it a little bit is, I definitely do agree. You need to be like open with people, like in terms of secrets. I also feel like it should be like a two-way streak where it's like at some point you kind of do need a little bit of the privacy because I remember she did mention like yeah, people, because I've seen it a lot of times too. People like they constantly do check the other person's phones for like text messages. And on one hand, I do get that for sure, but I also do think that if it goes like out of the handle, it just gets a little bit too,
Mm-hmm.
like information privacy. That could be a little bit like a little bit not too great, but I get where they're coming from, but I feel like I think, like I said, I do definitely do agree with the privacy, but I do think there needs to be like a sort of balance, is what I'm trying to say for sure.
I agree. Like my relationships, my experience in relationships, I only had one relationship like that where like touching the other person's phone is like forbidden. But
Hmm.
every other relationship I had, it wasn't a problem. Like the person's phone would be right there, my phone would be right there. She could pick my phone up and use it if she wanted to, or look at something. Or I could pick her phone up and look at something. Or she may be like, "Here, look at this," and give me her phone. It would be no problem because, like you said, no secrets was involved in that. But if somebody cheating and they got stuff in that phone that they know that's gonna lead to them, the other person finding out that they cheating, yeah, they're gonna act like that. They're gonna be like, "No, you can't touch my phone. Don't take my phone." This and that. No, yes. I see. That's why that's a difference from like a healthy relationship and a non-healthy relationship. Because if it's healthy, it doesn't matter who phone is on. Is it face up, face down, who could use it or not. It shouldn't be a problem because y'all a healthy relationship. But if the secrets involved, yeah, like that, the male or the female or the woman is not gonna let the other person look at that phone because they don't know if they're gonna look at their DMs, their text messages. They don't know if they deleted enough or they even deleted at all. So I think that's to be the problem.
Hmm.
And one of the tricks that I learned in some of the people that I dated was that they would put their phone on airplane mode when they go inside so that it doesn't go off until they
Yeah.
leave.
I had a cousin that used to keep his other phone in the staircase. Crazy.
Um, People have all kinds of tricks, but you know they always get caught,
Yes.
and that's the thing is that when you're always having to try to keep so many secrets and lies afloat, you know it's very hard to keep your lies straight.
Yeah. And the new thing now with people that cheating, like they would say their number as in something like Amazon or something like that, or like update. You know, it's something like that where the person would see it and they be like, oh, that, but like, why Amazon calling you 3 o'clock in the morning or texting you 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, so that's how they got caught up, and this is how everybody know about it. So if you want to go to TikTok or Instagram and type in changing contact name into Amazon or something like that, and they're gonna be like, oh, like you're gonna see the videos, and it's crazy that people find ways to cheat. And when it's this, just be honest. Just say, I don't want to be with you no more.
My friend used to use spam. She would just
Yeah.
put
Oh, spam too. Yeah, spam. Yeah. How do you define trust in a relationship? Why is it so important?
Well, trust, I feel like I said before, like it's a two-way streak. You gotta trust the other person, they gotta trust you back. It's kind of just simple like as that. And I mean, trust can be like I think it's the biggest thing, like especially like if you really are committed to wanting to be with this person for as long as you want to, you kind of do need to have that lot of trust in there. And I feel like, you know, we see it a lot of times where it's like a lot of the time they kind of lose trust, like they said before with the secrets. Obviously, like keeping those secrets loses trust, and that is the biggest thing. So yeah, trust is very big for either side.
Agreed. Sophie, and you?
Well, I find that, okay, so in every relationship that I was with in prior, before I wrote this book, um, the problem that was in every single one of those relationships was trust. That's what broke every single relationship. That's what created all the issues. So I think that trust is the number one thing that holds a relationship together. If you don't have trust, then you know, then the secrets start, and then, like I said, it just becomes like a snowball effect. So the little things become big things, and trust is a big thing. So I think that if you don't have it, then there's, like you said, there's no point in being with somebody.
Agreed.
And if
Mhm.
you confront them and they lie to you or they deny it, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What you think is worth, Sophie? Somebody denying it 3, 4 times and then telling the truth, or denying it completely forever?
Well, um, I think it's worse to deny it forever, but at the same rate, if you never find out, then you're never hurt.
Mhm.
Okay. This next question for you, Sophie, you can answer first, okay? And then Mark can go.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you truly forgive someone who has hurt you deeply, or does the scars always remain?
I think that it, like Mark said, that you have to work on it on a two-way thing. So if somebody has deeply hurt you, they have to work on trying to, you know, help heal that wound. And if they're not committed to working on that situation, which can become very annoying for some people, um, then you know, then there's no going back. There's no
Mhm.
point in prolonging the. Okay, so I'll use an example that happened to me. I in my last relationship, I was with somebody that I had met on an airplane, and we had built a friendship, and I believe that this person was very truthful to me, and we were actually friends for almost 2 years. We met on an airplane from Chicago to Miami, but we actually grew up on the same street. He's from Jamaica and I'm from Belgium, and we one day he's like, I want to be with you. I'm in love with you and I want to be with you. So I mean, why would I think that he was going to lie to me? Months go by, and we're, laughing one night, and I'm telling him about a friend of mine who just found out that her boyfriend had gotten another girl pregnant while he was in the NBA. And I was saying to him that I would, in better terms, I would kill him if I had found something out like that. About a year goes by, and I'm at work, and I get a phone call from a girl, and it's the mother of his second daughter. And I was like, yeah, no, I know, I know about his kids and everything. And she's like, no, we don't have one kid, we have two kids. So this means that he had three kids, that he'd only told me about two. And it turned out that the age of the kid was like the day that he told me that he wanted for us to be together. So he had this entire relationship, which was like, I guess, about a year and a half in, had completely lied to me, knowing that he's having another family and trying to build something new with me. And from that moment forward, we were together for another 5 years. It was very bad, very unhealthy.
Sorry to hear that.
And I have two beautiful sons with him, but after one of my sons was 3 months old, I finally was able to let go of it because it was a narcissistic relationship. So he always would come back and, and feed me and then leave me and feed me. And it was very, very toxic. But I finally broke free. I was very happy.
Congratulations. Let's see. Mark, you want to answer that question, or you got a question?
Okay, so I feel like depending on what the person did, like on either side, obviously scars come in like different types of ways, right? And, it could be physical, but it could also be like emotional. And I feel like a lot of the time it could be emotional, but like especially, and it really just depends on like how bad the emotional scar would be. Like, like if it's like cheating and like it's been going on for like a while, then I feel like the scar would have been super good, super bad. But I mean, I don't know. It really just depends. I feel like if you like it's always good to just talk it out with people and see how it is. Like obviously keep up with like the trust, because if you trust them more, then I feel like that level of like forgiveness could be um better handled, I would say. Obviously, if this has been going on for a while, then it could be a little bit like rocky. But you can make it better, but it really depends in some cases.
Agreed. Okay, Sophie, you kind of answered this question already. But if you want to like go more deep into it or give a different answer, that's fine. How do you handle conflict in a relationship without resorting to manipulation or control?
Well, because I've been in many relationships that were about manipulation and control, when I got into this relationship, I didn't accept it from day one. And so a lot of it is taking the time to absorb what just happened, in whatever situation, and always responding calmly. Don't ever respond with emotion or with reaction, but you have to just like really, you have to take a deep breath and think about what just happened, because when you react out of emotions, you can say and do a lot of wrong things that you don't mean to, and people will interpret it wrong, and people can get really hurt. And that's something that I learned because of being in multiple abusive relationships. I learned bad habits in a relationship, so I had to learn how to undo them. And I think that also, I had to raise two boys, so I learned a lot of patience with that. One of my boys, he's high functioning autistic, so he is not okay with anybody getting angry or like, getting like very controlling. So I learned through my son also to just, take a deep breath and talk about it like an adult. And so when I see people arise, a lot of times I consider it childish, because I'm like, you couldn't just talk things through. People could have different points of view and a different opinion. But if you share each other's opinions, I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinion. But if you're allowed one person to share how they feel, and the other person to share how they feel, and whether they want to work on it becoming something more, or whether it's like a no-go, that's where the decision comes at the end. But give each person their chance to give, their side of the story or their opinion.
Agreed.
Hmm.
Mark, you got an answer to that question?
I agree with everything she said. I definitely do think there is always like, the best way to handle all these type of like issues is to just calmly talk it out. There can be room for anger, but like if it gets like too out of hand, you need to find a way to just balance yourself, or the other person needs to balance themselves in terms of like just talking to each other, because at the end of the day, if it just gets like too upset or angry, then it could lead to chaos, it could lead to just not great things, and it can only just damage your relationship even more. And so yeah, I think no, absolutely, just coming at the situation with a level head is the best way to do things, at least in my opinion.
If it gets heated, we have an agreement that one of us will leave for like 10 to 30 minutes. And then whoever, comes back, like you come back with a happy face and a different attitude. Just so that you can just get it out of your system, whatever was arising. And then, you just let it go so that you don't let it build, because one
Mhm.
person does one thing and then you can just kind of. So sometimes it's just good to like give a moment. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes. This next question I got here, I'm gonna talk about my own experience first, and then I'm gonna ask the question. So basically, my own experience, long distance relationships, personal space, and independency don't work in relationships, at least in my experience. So this next question goes towards that. What role do you think personal space and independence play in a successful relationship?
Like I said, I feel like the best way to tackle these kind of things is just to like talk with each other, especially in these situations where you want to be by yourself, or if another person wants to be by themselves, like they need to kind of like understand that they themselves, like obviously yes, you are in a relationship, and yes, it can be a little stressful that like, being in a relationship, and I get that. The same thing though, you do kind of need to let them know as well. Just either be straightforward, tell them like out of like, out of respect and, all that stuff.
I kind of feel bad because probably about 15 years ago, I think I did that to somebody.
That's me.
It was mean. And so what I have to say about it is that I never spoke to him about it. And what had happened was that I just lost my best friend who died, and I never even, said that. I was just like dealing with my grief in my own way, which ended up being the father of my boys. But yeah, so I was dating an older gentleman. He was about 50. He was probably about dating him about a month, and I felt like he was about to propose to me. So I told him I needed some space,
Mm.
and I never saw him again. I
You ghosted him. That's me, Sophie.
posted a picture of me with the boy's dad on my birthday. And he
Oh,
kept
that's
asking,
me.
birthday party.
Did he ever ask you about it? Did he ever like you ever see him again? Did he ever write you out of the blue?
About I think like 7 or 8 years ago, I saw him at a bagel shop, but he was already remarried with a had adopted a little Korean kid, and I was with my husband already. So, but it was funny. Yeah, he called me and we spoke, and he told me like everything that happened to him after I did that to him. He had married a drunk lady who was really rich, and then she abused him, and he was able to win a lot of money in the zoo and able to start a airplane painting company.
Oh wow.
That
So
was very.
can a relationship survive without good communication? If so, how?
Without good communication?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I think no. I think a relationship really needs to have communication in order to work. Because at the end, because like if you don't have communication, then you're just like you're pretty much just it feels like ignoring, and it feels like you're just pushing them away. And there's times where it can work, but No, you really no, you have to like communicate with people, and like it's just if you're committed to being with someone, you kind of have to open up to them, and the same thing goes for them. They have to open up to you. Communication, I really think, is key to a relationship, for me at least.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It
Sophie?
is. Everyone wants to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So, like if you want to share something, it's because you want to be heard about it. So it's important to listen just as much as it is important to talk.
I was talking to my other co-host, Lindsay, like a couple podcasts ago, and we was talking about soulmates. And we was talking about like people that can't get pregnant. I think everybody can get pregnant. It's gotta find a person to get them pregnant, you know. And I use a girl I grew up with as an example. So this girl, she's very promiscuous, very promiscuous. Like every time you seen this girl, she had a guy with her, and she would sleep with this guy. So I didn't like being around her. I didn't like my girlfriend at the time being around her. And and this went on for a couple of years. And then she finally got pregnant. And the person that got her pregnant was a Filipino guy. You know, not a black guy, not a white guy, not a Spanish guy. The guy she was dating all her life. You know, but the one time she did mess with outside, mess with an Asian guy, Filipino guy, he got her pregnant, beautiful daughter, healthy daughter, very smart little girl. And I think those other guys wasn't meant for her to have kids or be with those people. That Filipino guy was meant for her to God sent that Filipino guy to her to be with her, be her soulmate, have kids with her. And that's why she was able to have kids with him, but not with anybody else. So this is where this question comes from. Do you believe that soulmates exist, or is love a matter of timing and compatibility? Good question, huh?
I think it's a equal want of effort to be together. Like you both have to want to be together the same amount. I think that soulmates, it's the way you perceive it. I mean, you can perceive anybody that you're in love with as your soulmate as long as they perceive you as their soulmate back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever felt like somebody was your soulmates? I think, Sophie, you married now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got your soulmate. Mark, what about you? Have you ever felt you had your soulmate and lost them?
I'm still trying to find a soulmate for sure. Like I said, I feel like it's also because I prioritize more friends, and I feel like in some sense friends are kind of like in the same kind of veins as romances and like girlfriends. Not obviously in that capacity, but
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a little bit of like that similarity where they kind of blend in with friendships and lovely relationships. So that kind of like based it off of that. But obviously, I'm still looking for like love. So, it'll come one day.
Yeah. I've been married before. I was married 10 years. I got married when I was, I think, 19. And I got divorced when I was in my early 30s. So, so I was married before. But the person I was married to, I definitely never felt that she was my soulmate. I never felt like that at all. I actually felt like I settled with her. Yeah, I didn't think I loved her at all.
Well, I had a friend when I was like 14, and he was adopted, and he'd always tell me, oh, I think my mom looks like you. And then we didn't see each other for a year, and then we saw each other and we fell in love, and then we didn't see each other, but we wrote back and forth. And then I was like, I was in a relationship, then he was in a relationship, then I was in a relationship, then I got pregnant, then he proposed to me and left me
Oh,
for
wow.
another girl. And so it was like, I always thought like, oh, this guy's the love of my life, right? But no, he was just something that I remembered as a child, which high school love is what feels like, that puppy love, that really intense love. And I guess like in my mind, like we said, like you imagine that that's what it's supposed to be like, but it's not, that's not what it is. It's part about being friends and not the whole back and forth thing and trying to like prove who loves each other more. It's, it's about being friends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sophie, you also mentioned that once you had your kid was 3 months, you left your significant other. So this next question goes towards that. Is it healthy to stay in a relationship for the sake of the kids, even if the emotional connection is no longer there?
Okay, so I have a 24-year-old daughter that I had when I was 21 with a Puerto Rican guy, and he was a big time cheater. When my daughter was 6 weeks old, I found out that he was sleeping with a neighbor. I also had the same situation happen to me with my boy's dad. That had them 12 years later, and when my boys were 3 months old, I found out was with the other woman for the whole 7 years we were together.
Oh my God.
So therefore, like, I learned from both of those relationships that, that all of that passion and all of that doesn't really mount up to what, in the end, because of the fact that, like, that's what they were chasing.
Mhm.
So the next moment that I was 9 months pregnant at home and not looking sexy, they were chasing the next hot thing down the street or across the city, whichever way.
Mhm.
And I just think that that's the problem. That's the problem that a lot of relationships end up boiling down to. And I live here in Miami, Florida. I don't know where you guys live, but the Latin community, it's rampant. It's so bad the way that they cheat. Like it's like having lunch. They
Uh,
just they go to lunch to go have an affair, like it's
yeah.
normal. And it was really hard for me when I got out of my relationship with the boy's dad to decide to date again because of the fact that everybody in Miami cheats, and I just got lucky that I found somebody that was in a marriage for 20 years, and the wife decided she loved heroin more than being married, so he stayed committed to her the whole time, and when their marriage ended was the right
Mhm.
time for me.
I'm in New York. I think Marcus in California, right?
I'm in Long Beach, New York.
Oh, you're
So
Long Beach, New York. Okay. You said Long Beach. I thought Long Beach, California for some reason. I don't
yeah,
know.
it gets very confusing, I know. But
Yeah,
no,
and
I'm
New
in New
York's
York.
pretty wild too.
Yeah,
Uh,
New York's pretty bad.
it's not a lot of faithful people in New York. Um, like people cheat, like you said, the neighbor, stuff like I had a friend. I had a friend once, like this was my best friend, like we're very, very close. And we worked together. He also worked with his girlfriend. She liked me and she used to always come on to me like very sexually and so on. And she used to have dreams about me. And she used to tell me and other coworkers the dreams, but never him. So I knew one day the conversation was gonna get to his ear. We all worked there. So I know one day he's gonna be like, yo, she be having dreams about such a, so I knew it was gonna happen eventually. So I told him, myself, I'm like, look, like such a, like, if you don't believe me, you can ask such a. I just want you to know because you're my friend. Like, I would never do that to you, this and that. And they both end up quitting their jobs and so on. But it's just the fact that I brought that story up, not to like, tell it, but like I brought that story up because I was her coworker. Her boyfriend worked there too. And yet she still wanted to cheat. Now it was so dangerous. Like this guy was 6 feet tall, like 6'3". I'm like 5'10", So like I gotta look up to him, so like it was a very dangerous situation that she put me in and she also put him in. And
Mhm.
and also put both their jobs in jeopardy because once I told him what happened, the next day they both quit. Or they both got fired. I don't know what happened. I just know the next day I went to work, both of them was gone.
Well, the thing is that it's normal to have thoughts, everybody has thoughts. That's normal.
Mhm.
And that's nothing wrong with that. But when you put those thoughts into somebody's head where you're
Mhm.
planting a seed outside of your relationship and you say, hey, I had a sex dream about you last night, then now all of a sudden you're planting the seed in the other person's head. And now that starts to become a chemistry. So you could have just not said anything
Mhm.
and that was just a dream and you move on with your life.
Mhm.
And so, you need to know when to not say things too. I mean, there's
Mhm.
boundaries and there's things that are appropriate and not appropriate.
Mhm.
Yes. I told him for two reasons. One, I told him because he's my friend. And the second reason I told him, he's bigger than me. He could beat me up. He could have beat me up. It's like, say somebody else would have told him what happened, or assumed he would assume that I did sleep with her or I did do something with her, even though I didn't, but say he would have assumed it, and he wanted to get violent, go get a weapon or want to put hands on me. We at work. I'm in the room with the dog. He's a dog daycare. So I'm in the room with the dogs. Next, he come in the room and start beating on me, or I'm walking past him. He just smacked, start hitting on me. Like I would never know where it's going to come. So this is why I told him like get it to break the ice, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mark?
So the question was about if is it good for the children? So like I said, I think especially like for the children, you really need to be careful with the children because from what I've seen, so I guess I could probably tell a little bit of a story, but like my dad has been okay, so my dad obviously he married my mom and they divorced after that. So then he went on to another person in Yonkers, and she was a very toxic woman. So like she was very toxic. I kind of realized when I'm always good at telling people's like emotions, but like she was just like she was rude. She wasn't really the best, and she yelled a lot. And if I remember correctly, there was also a time when she like gave my dad like a black eye. And the worst part, and the thing is, she's also a police officer in Yonkers, so that made it even worse. So
Yeah.
but yeah, just I saw a lot of that. And like when I was like, okay, and this was like 2014, 2015. So I was like kind of young, but like I also have a sister, so she was like a lot younger. So we both kind of saw a little bit of it, and it's like, yeah, it's really one of those things where you really got to be careful because if you're instilling that in the child, like that's not good because it's not a good thing because you could be in a really bad situation. If it gets too crazy, then maybe something bad could happen, like God forbid, like one of the kids gets beaten up, but like you
Mhm.
really need to like control yourself, especially when you talk about kids. But like that's my experience of seeing it. And no, it's yeah, you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mo, and I'm sorry that you went through that.
Hmm.
My father got 40 kids in about 6, 7 different states. And I probably already know on my father's side, probably 10 of them. Growing up, like I didn't witness nothing like how you witnessed, but like financial abuse. So like for example, he refused to buy his clothes for school, right? My father refused to buy his clothes for school. So my mother snatched the chain off his neck. And she used that chain, the money for that chain, to buy us school clothes. So it was stuff like that that he was using as power and abuse to try to get her back. That's why he was
Hmm.
doing it. He wanted her back. She said no. So he's like, he's not buying us no clothes. So she snatched his chain off his neck and pawned it, or sold it. So this next question, people always got a different opinion on this next question. All right. So I want to hear y'all two opinions, and I'm gonna get mine. Cheating in a relationship, does it vary between different relationships?
I I would say yeah, it kind of does I feel like the way I see cheating is just it is kind of based around like different relationships because yeah, I mean there's a lot of different factors when it comes to cheating. Like I mean, there's a lot of different factors. Like, maybe there's like money issues. Maybe they just don't really like being around anymore because they don't agree with their opinions. I feel like that's really the basics of like what cheating is. I haven't really seen it too much in my time when I've noticed like either my dad or sometimes my mom as well. Like she's had some relationships as well. I haven't really seen it like firsthand myself, but I can kind of envision that what that might be what cheating is basically. Not too sure though myself, so.
Sophie, how about you?
I think that everybody's interpretation of cheating is different. I think it's one of the first things you should discuss when you're wanting to be with somebody to make sure that you feel comfortable with what they think cheating, the lines of cheating are, and that they match with what your lines of cheating are. Because everybody's different. I mean, here in the Latins, not to say only all Spanish people do it, but they are open. Some of them have open marriages. Some of them have like past nights and all kinds of different things that I would not be okay with in a relationship. So I think that when you're about to date somebody, it's one of the first things you should ask.
Mm,
Mhm.
I agree. So this next question is similar to the question I asked earlier. When someone cheats, can they truly feel remorse and learn from it, or is it just a cycle?
Hmm. I feel like this is a tough one because I feel like it really just depends on the person, really, and depends on like because there are some people that like they do feel remorse for their actions, but then there's other times where it's like, okay, maybe they could be like emotionally manipulative and they could be like, oh, they're saying it just to get back at you. You really got to like figure out like what they're like thinking about in those type of situations because yes, it's a good because it's one thing to like just say that like, you're
Mhm.
sorry. It's another thing to actually just follow through with it.
Mhm.
That's kind of like the way I see it. Um because that's the same thing what happens like in abusive relationships where it's like, you even though you left an abusive race relationship, I feel like the scars of that could still go on and it's just, it's a little bit like it's tricky sometimes in those cases and it really just depends on like the person, I feel.
How about you, Sophie?
Okay, so when I was very young, I was about 13. I had my first boyfriend. He was a little bit older than me, and he would always make jokes about cheating on me whenever I would go to the restroom at the restaurant. Like when we were out with our friends, they would be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have sex on the table when you go to to the bathroom." So I was always like, "Oh my God, they're gonna cheat on me." So I, at a young age, built a mechanism that when I thought somebody was gonna cheat on me, I would just do it first, so I wouldn't be hurt. And that led to obviously becoming and being in many abusive relationships because that was my mentality. And obviously, after being in so many abusive relationships and realizing that I'm beating a dead horse and I'm going somewhere I don't want to be because that's not what the kind of relationship or the kind of life that I want to have or the example I want to be to my kids, is when I just kind of grew up and I was like, you got to make a choice. Do you want to be in a relationship and be honest and truthful with somebody? But you also have to find somebody that's honest and truthful to you. And once I found the person that I knew that I could be honest and truthful with, and I felt that they were equally or even more so to me, that's when I just knew that I was with the right person.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's why I got
Understand.
married.
Okay, that's
But
understandable.
one of the things that Mark had mentioned earlier about like friends and stuff, like sometimes when you're in a relationship and you like have too many friends around, that causes issues too because they have their opinions or they want to hang out with one person more than the other, so you're taking time away, and that can cause like jealousy and fights. And so you have to learn how to balance that. Of course, you should never eliminate hanging out with your friends altogether. You should
Mhm.
always have some kind of personal life, you know, it just you should be independent in some way. Don't spend all your time with one person, but don't let friends control your relationship.
Yes,
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
yeah, you made totally sense. Oh, you have friends with Kevin Hart?
I love Kevin Hart. He's great.
Okay, what about Joe Rogan?
I know a little bit about Joe Rogan.
All right. All right. Kevin Hart was on Joe Rogan podcast, and that's about actual like you would have said both. Like you might have seen the episode I'm talking about, but he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and he said two things that stuck with me. That's why I always remember this years ago, so I always remember. So one thing he said is people are always angry. It's easy to be angry, but it's hard to be nice, and I thought that was so true. And he used the Titanic as an example. So he was like, say you're in a room with five people and you say I love Titanic, and four of the people gonna say I love Titanic too, but it's gonna be that one person say I hate that movie. That movie is such a, and that's so true. It's always one person in a group of friends that's always got to be the negative person or got to put people down or can't see the bright side of things. Do y'all agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
As I a couple years back, I had a near death experience. Somebody hugged me with a fentanyl patch, and I fell to the ground for 6 minutes, with no breath or anything. And one of the things that happened to me from that was I lost my train of thought. Right after that happened to me, like, it was a big awakening call of like, the type of people that I allowed to be around, and like, you know, the people that were around me, what was I representing? And so I started to just chop out all the negative people that were around, like people that were always saying negative things or always talking about negative things, or even their point of view in life, like, you know, wanting to take fentanyl patches. I mean, I've never done fentanyl in my life, and I almost died from it, and people would have thought that that's what I did. So it's very important that if you want to feel happy or be in a good mood all the time, find people like that. So you surround yourself with that, and then, you know, that's the kind of an environment that you're going to be in, including and especially your spouse that you're going to be with. You know, you want somebody that's going to be more positive. And when I met my husband, we were both very broken. So it took a lot of work, you know, and trust to go through all of the things that we had collected baggage from our previous relationships to be able to build a healthy relationship. That's, you know, it's possible, but it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first list of questions I was talking about was just general questions about relationship. The topic I'm in now is relationships. It's questions about cheating. So I got 2 questions left in this topic, and then I'm gonna go into power dynamics of relationships. Okay. I'm gonna try to get at least 2 or 3 of those out before we close. Okay. So the next one is really short. So Sophie, you said, when I was telling about the dream, you was like, I should have kept that to myself because it was just a dream. And if I would have never said nothing, it would have just been just a dream. So this question is basically this really very, very simple. Is ignorance bliss in a relationship? Simple. Is it?
So yes and no. I'm gonna go with no. Ignorance is not bliss.
Not bliss?
Wait, like if you don't know something, it doesn't hurt you, but it can hurt you. Like let's say your spouse is cheating and you don't know. But what if they catch HIV and they give it to you?
That's true.
So then it's not bliss.
Yeah, that's true. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Ignorance is not bliss in this kind of scenario because because if you're being ignorant in a relationship, like that is like the for sure sign that you don't really like take the person's feelings into account. Like let's say like there's a person who doesn't really, you know, she has like a problem with like I don't know, just she has a problem and you're not really aware of that, then like that's pretty bad because you know, like you're not it's not like it's like you're kind of disregarding her feelings and it's like you're just being like too ignorant and it's like yeah, no, this like ignorance is not bliss in those type of scenarios, at least for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of symptoms. It's a lot of addictions out there. You could be addicted to cigarettes, you could be addicted to liquor, you could be addicted to toxicity, you know, so it's a lot of things you could be addicted to. So this question goes towards that. Do you think cheating is often a symptom of a deeper issue, or is it always a personal choice?
Hmm.
For your answer, I was thinking about sex addicts when I made this question. So, you know, so this is why I came up with the question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's also the narcissist that it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like that nurse dude, that nurse that be on TikTok, he be sleeping with people brides at the hospital, and he just love posting it. He love posting it. He love posting them talking to their husbands on the phone while he with them, like narcissism.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it definitely does feel like it really can go either way, really. I feel like because yes, you can like it can be a choice to cheat. And if you have a good reason to cheat, like if a person's not doing like if a person's like being really bad, then like that could be a somewhat acceptable reason to cheat. But at the same time, like what Sophie said, like if you're like a narcissist, or if you're like completely full of yourself and you like to do that stuff, yeah, that's not great.
You can't fix that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't think you can fix that either.
Because look, I had a 7-year problem with drinking. I could fix that. I stopped drinking 3 years ago. I haven't had any drinks. It's fixable. You can't fix a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sociopath. You can't fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so that's how I found out. So my kid's dad, he has 3 baby mamas, right? I'm number 3. So the baby mama number 1, she and I were friends at some point, and she's like, I think that he's a sociopath. And I was like, really? So I started looking it up, and then that's when I learned the word narcissist.
Mhm.
I didn't even know anything about what a narcissist. I didn't even know what that was. Gaslighting, never heard of it, nothing. It was like 2014. And I became a specialist. I interviewed like hundreds of women, and I wrote, this book because of it. And I learned everything about narcissists, which is so crazy because now I don't have to deal with one at all. But when my kids were small, I did have to block him for multiple years while we were in court, not to allow him to get to my head, make me feel bad, um, manipulate me. So there is a point where sometimes you just have to have like that no contact
Mm.
to be able to heal and to be able to, not allow that person to get into your mind and stuff. So very hard. But
Yeah.
now we're able to have a civil conversation every single day, and he talks to his children every single day. And I just learned to be able to control that, because he, manipulated me for a long time.
Do you think that traditional gender roles affect modern relationships? If so, why and how?
I mean, stereotypes have definitely been like a big factor, I would say. Like, especially, I mean, I feel like people know about like the Andrew Tate. Like Andrew Tate, the guy, like he had his like, if I remember correctly, he had his views on women. It's just no, that is going to kill a relationship. In this modern age, it's going to kill a relationship. That is the best way I could see it. Because if you just view a woman as like a person who just works in the kitchen and does all that stuff, that's not going to work. I'm sorry, that's not going to work at all.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long.
And
No,
that's also abuse. That's also abuse too. Forcing
absolutely.
her
Yep.
to do household work. How about you, Sophie? What do you think?
Um, so I used to believe that the guys were supposed to take out the trash and that I was supposed to cook. I hate cooking. So I eliminated myself from cooking in the kitchen, and I take out the trash now. So I
Okay.
guess no, I don't believe in gender roles.
Okay. What are some signs that a relationship has been toxic, and what should someone do if they recognize these signs?
Hmm. I think it's really just like a lack of a lack of something. Like it could be like a lot of things. It could be a lack of talking, a lack of activities.
Motion.
If exactly, yeah, a lack of emotion. If it's just lacking in stuff, or at least like it starts off very slight lacking, but then it just progresses and progresses more into like it's getting super lacking. And that's where you kind of need to talk it out with someone just so you can like fix it, because like I said, it starts out really great and you guys are talking, but if it gets to the point where it's like it gets lesser and lesser amount of interaction, yeah, it's gonna slowly but surely kill a relationship in that way. So yeah.
Sophie,
I'll
and
keep
you?
it short. I'll keep it short. A lie. The first time you catch somebody in a lie, go get away, run.
Simple. I always say I'm gonna give a person one red flag. That's it. One red flag, and I'm out. Thank you for watching Literature Convo Podcast. I'm your host, Lamar Royster.
This has been Mark Cadu.
And Sophie White.
My special guest, Sophie White. Thank you so much, Sophie, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated it. I love talking to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Sophie. You have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.